Okay guys, today we are going to be making this earth scene here in Fusion. Let's just move this old composition here to the side. Let's go into the effects, drag down a Fusion composition. You can go 10 seconds forwards and then click on the edge and press E to extend. So now we have a 10-second shot here. Pop into the Fusion page and let's open the media pool. I've included these images here in the description. These are from Blender Guru's Earth tutorial. Thanks for that. I will be linking to his video as well. So these images are quite high resolution. They are 10K, 8K, 10K, 8K. So 8K and 10K, which means DaVinci Resolve is going to struggle a little bit. So to remedy that while we work, let's just add a resize node after every texture. Let's just do the color version first. And then just if you click keep frame aspect, you can see it snaps back to the original resolution that it had. Copy the resize and paste it after every texture so that we're essentially getting 2K textures instead of 8K textures. And that will help us tremendously with playback while we work. With that done, let's go ahead and add a cook torrents node. And then we can pipe the color into the yellow input. Let me just see what this is. Clouds, so we can actually save that for later. And this is night lights, so we can just move those out a bit as well. If we view that, you can see we have a sphere here. Also, let's just quickly add a shape 3D and let's just view that right away. Change the shape to a sphere and add a merge 3D and a spotlight, like so. View the merge and click this button up in the corner to enable lighting. And then in the spotlight, in the transform tab, click use target and drag the spotlight upwards, like so. And then in the controls, change the decay type to quadratic and then lower the decay rate all the way, and then, fine tune it back up until you get something you're happy with. So I think something like that is nice. If we move it even further, you can see we are evening out the edge there. The drop off is becoming even softer, but I think we're going to go with something like that, just for now at least. You can also add an ambient light. We can see if we keep that down the road. Now let's connect the rest of the materials. So let's connect the earth, land, ocean texture into the roughness and the specular map into the specular. Hold down Alt as you release the pipe to get up the little menu. We're going to choose specular intensity for that one. And then in the cook torrents node, we're going to go in under the specular panel and we're going to lower the roughness to 0.3. For the land ocean, we're also going to pipe it into the specular color material. And the reason for that is you see our land is not as specular as the ocean. Let me just show you here. So if we go into the shader now and I move the light around, you can see the ocean behind it is shiny, but the land itself is not. So that's kind of the illusion we're going for here in this. So I'm just do Fresnel again and we can set it to 0.3. Then let's add a render 3D, view it, pull it out a bit. We can change the render type to hardware, just zoom out to fit all the nodes. And then we can also add a camera 3D. Pipe that into the merge, and you can see it became even more weird. View the merge in the second viewer and the renderer. So right now I'm viewing the renderer 3D in the right viewer and the merge in this left viewer. So let's try to position our camera where we want it. In the camera, under transform, enable use target. That way, when we move the camera up and down, it will keep pointing at our target. And right now, our target is at the center of the planet, which is perfectly fine as we are creating this effect. But down the road, you might want to actually make the target of the camera the country or the area on the map you want to focus on. You can also just pick target with the eyedropper tool here. Yeah, and we are gonna just not do that. We're just gonna reset that to default so that the target is in the center of the planet. What we can do, however, is rotate the Earth a little bit. I am from Europe, so I would like to see Europe as I'm working. So now we have our planet rendered in 3D space. In this shape 3D, before we move on, let's just also increase the base subdivisions of our planet because you can see that we have some jagged edges here. Increase it to 64 by 64. There we go. Now the silhouette is a lot cleaner. That's the render. So we're going to call this render 3D node here. We're going to call it color. We can also just pipe that into the media out. And then just to get some quick progression, let's add a merge after that. And then we can add a fast noise pipe the fast noise into the merge as well, and then flip them around in the fast noise, increase the detail to 4, and then increase the scale to 250, and then in the color panel, switch the type to gradient, and then just squeeze the gradient. Yeah, maybe that's the space. So now we have Earth in space. However, you can see our Earth is entirely flat. Let's go into the render 3D, enable lighting and shadows, and then with the spotlight, just drag it behind the planet from the camera perspective so that we're getting a nice backlit effect, and pull it out a bit so the specular highlights isn't as strong. We can also put it out to the side so that the sun is setting on the western hemisphere. So that is a nice starting point for our Earth. So yeah, let's take this cloud texture here. Let me just pull it up a bit so we can see the nodes a little bit better as we're working. Merge that over the Earth color, then just add a luma here, and that alone did a lot. And then add a glow node, like so. Now you can see, I don't know if you can tell, but there are some dark edges around our key. So in the glow node, if you just disable the alpha channel, you can see it's blending in a bit nicer. I'll let you decide if you want to disable the glow alpha channel or not. I think I'm actually going to keep it. We'll see if I change my mind later, but we're going to keep it for now. What we're also going to do is we are going to be adding our night lights. We're going to do it quite simply. The simplest way to render this as a planet as well, instead of copying the whole node tree, just add a replace material after the last merge, or in this case, the only merge, like so. If we view this, we have the same 3D scene, but now the texture has been reset and it's ready for our texture here. So if we now view that, you can see we have the night lights on our Earth. Let's also just copy the render 3D here, paste it in after. We can rename this night lights. If I view this through the render 3D, now for the night lights render pass, we don't want this big specular ball, and we don't want shadows to cover up our lights there. So let's just disable the lighting for this one, like so. And then we just merge that over the color. So, and then we view that, and then we burn it in. Or we could do alpha. It is virtually the same in most cases. And then you might be thinking, why are there lights in Britain during the day? That is a good question, and we actually don't want that to be the case, do we? So let's add another replace material, like so, and then add a renderer 3D. And now you can see we have a black and white image. Now this will function as a mask. However, right now the black and white is inverted. So if we pipe this into the merge here, it will currently do nothing because we are masking by the alpha channel, which is that. You can see that if you go into the settings here, and you can see the channel. If we change that to luminance, you can see that we are now masking the white areas in. We don't want that. We want to invert it like so that the nighttime is on the dark side. There we go. And if you think the fade between light and dark is too soft, you can just use these sliders to make that edge even sharper. And then you can slide it around if you want. So we can say something like that. Now, there's another thing we should do, and that is to remove the ambient light, because I don't think we should actually be seeing that much of the Earth. Or, you know, if you want it, lower it to 0.1. Yeah, something like that. That is nice. Now, you might notice that our lights are yellow. So let's quickly just add a color corrector node, and then just, drag it to the orange, like so. Big difference already. And then let's also just add a glow. But we're going to be adding this to 20. We're going to add this to 30. It did look really good at 10 as well. But you can see here that it does make quite a difference. And it's selling the effect that we have an atmosphere going on. Let's rename this this light mask here to light mask. Let's also just view the media out here so we can see what we're doing. Let's add a volume fog. Pipe the light mask into the volume. View it and you can see nothing is happening. Let's also pipe the replace node into the volume. And then in the renderer, under output channels, enable Z and world position. And now you can see we have a bit of an artifacting going on. And there's a reason for that. And that reason is that we don't have a background in our 3D space. So if you view the channels here, or the channels in this one, you can now see we have Z and we have positions, but the black pixels are essentially a void of information. So we need there to be information there there even if the pixels should be invisible, if that makes any sense. So what we're going to do, we're just going to copy our shape 3D here. We're going to pipe it into the merge as well. And then we are going to increase the size to, I don't know, 250. And now you can see we have something going on in the background. And you can see down there in the toolbar, down on the information bar, you can see we have information when I'm moving the arrow around. So if we go back to the color view and we view the volume fog, you can see our artifact is gone. Also, with this shape 3D, let's just go into the material and we can lower the opacity all the way. It is the ambient light that is making it gray. So we're just gonna lower the opacity of that so it becomes invisible, so we can keep our fast noise as the black background. With our volume fog, let's add a glow. We can just view that, and then let's add a blur. We can do that as well. And now let's merge that over our planet, and we can burn it in. And you can see we have a bit of an issue. We might actually have to delete this ambient light after all. Yeah, that's what we had to do. Yeah, delete it. Get it out of there. It's not supposed to be there. Okay. Now for the blur, we're just going to set that to 4, like so. And then the volume fog, let's increase the size so that it's sticking out of the planet a little bit. And then we can increase the soft edge to, blend it nicely. We can also lower the opacity if we think it's a bit dark or if we think it's a bit too bright. You can also tell that our planet is being overexposed quite a bit. So this is probably a really nice time to start with our linear conversion. We should probably have done this a long time ago, but it doesn't really matter if you know what you're doing. So yeah, let's go back to our texture nodes. We're going to add a gamut node after the texture. In the gamut node, go in under source space, and we're going to choose from image. It's all the way at the bottom. Now, if you view this and we view the original one, you can tell Fusion is detecting what color space this is in. And now we are taking whatever that color space is and converting it to linear. The image was likely in Rec 709. You'll see it's the same as well. Copy the gamut node after each texture node here, and that way our textures will become super dark, which is okay. All right, then what we got to do, add a Cineon log after the last merge. Choose lin to log, which essentially makes our linear image into a log image. And we're going to choose Arri log C, then add a color corrector node. I like to do a color corrector in Fusion. You can, of course, just do it in the color page. It is up to you. Set the saturation to 1.5. Set the gain to 1.1. And now, if we just quickly jump out into the color page, right click, LUT, and then we choose Film Looks and Rec 709 codec, D60. You can see we have a nice little LUT going on. Now jump back into the Fusion page, and in the media out, change it to color, and you can see your grade in Fusion while you're working, which is really nice. We're going to go back to our volume fog here for a bit, and we are going to adjust it a little bit because it's a bit much. Something like that. And maybe we can increase the soft edge a bit as well. Yeah, we'll see. Change the color to a light blue, like so. And then we have a weird thing going on with our planet, and that is that the light is a bit strong. So let's go into the spotlight here. We're going to reset the cone angle to standard, and the decay rate, we are going to choose what is going on. It is the volume fog node that is too strong. We're going to lower the merge that is merging the volume fog over. We're going to set that to 0.5, and we are also going to increase the contrast to 1.2. Now that is starting to get really nice already. So you can have a sneak peek of the final result by disabling all of the textures, and it should become way sharper. I don't know if you can see it on this YouTube compression here, but hopefully you'll see it on your screen. Let's just turn it back on for speed because it will get really laggy. We have a cool little grade going on. We're going to improve it even more. However, we have a small little issue we got to fix, and that is that our space has disappeared. To quickly fix this is we are going to be adding in a merge 3D like that, and then let's just remove this shape, the one that we copied, pipe that into the merge 3D like so. You can see something happened, and then we pipe this replace 3D into the merge 3D like so, and then we pipe that into the render and into the volume fog. So now we have the transparent pixels. And now if we go into the shape 3D again, into the visibility, uncheck suppress aux channels, now we are good to go. So that was my mistake. I'm so sorry for that, a little detour. But yeah, now we should be good. So if we view the media out again, ooh, you can see we have planet Earth being hit from the sky. right now the sun is hitting the earth off camera. So what we're going to do is we are going to be adding in the sun. So let's add a lens flare like so. And then also actually we're going to be adding in a locator 3D. And then we're going to pipe the main merge into the locator. We can just have that there. And then, you know, you can just let it sit. Then what we're going to do, we're going to go into the lens flare, into the position, right click, connect to locator 3D position. And now you can see our locator is in the middle of the earth. Let's split the viewers again, and we can move the locator 3D to be behind the planet from us. So something like that. And then, you know, we want it back in the camera view. So we're going to move it there. So yeah, I want the sun to be something like that. I mean, we are cheating it a bit. You can see that the light is coming from way further up. But, you know, sometimes we got to cheat to get what we want. That is horrible advice. Don't listen to me. Okay, we're going to change the lens flare type to mirror version. And then we can go into the global corrections. We can lower the scale to 0.5. You can increase the anamorphism if you want. You can see it's affecting the lens flare in a nice way. Yeah, we're actually going to have just a little bit 1.25 anamorphism like so. Let's add a bit of an environment to this just to sell it the effect a little bit more. So in space, there isn't any haze, but when you are filming into the sun like this, you are getting a glare. So let's add a merge before the lens flare, and then we are going to be adding a background, and then we're going to be adding 2 backgrounds. We can actually add 2 merges, of course. First things first, we're going to be taking one background, make it kind of muted blue color like that, and we're going to take the other background, and we are going to make it a very light blue. And if we merge these together, like so, and then I want to have a mask, and we can just copy that same mask over that, and we can increase the size of it. So what we're looking to get is kind of a glare effect. Now if we pipe that over that merge there, change the apply mode to multiply like that, and then you take these 2 masks, you right click, connect to locator 3D, and then connect to locator 3D. Let's also just merge it over the other one, and this one we're just going to lower the opacity really far. So this one we're going to lower as well. Actually, you know what we're going to do? We're going to be increasing the soft edge all the way on both of them. So this one can be in the middle, but we're going to scale it up like that. That's kind of nice. Now what happens if we add the contrast here, and we can lower the opacity for the multiply. In this merge that is blending these 2 backgrounds together, we're going to increase the burn-in. However, you can also see that our lights are kind of being drowned out by this glare, so we can add a merge, and we're just going to be adding to that, so like that, and then we can just burn it in like so. Now you can see our lights are shining through, and you can use the opacity to do that. Also, of course, we got to add the mask. We're just going to pipe this in there as well. Hold on Alt and click and drag to create a router, and then we just hide incoming connection to that so it's not crossing. In the merge settings, change the channel to luminance and change the slider. Also apply mask inverted. And now you can see, let's go into the merge 3 here and see if we should change this to, yeah, maybe it should be something like that. You can also do the same for the clouds if you want. If you want a layer of clouds on top of this, let's just add another replace material, and then we can just pipe the glow from the clouds here into that replace material, and then we can copy the renderer after that, and also just pipe the actual merge into the replace as well. Hook that up. If we view that, you can see we have a planet with just the clouds. So now if we are just adding that on top of our planet again, after everything, you can see we're not getting exactly what we want. So what we can do is we can burn it in, and that will make them a lot more visible. But what we want to do, we want to go into the render here. We're just going to change that name to clouds. We're going to disable the lighting so that we have the light all over the planet. And then we're going to duplicate the merge, and we're going to pipe it in to both. That we're doing it twice. Then we're going to borrow this light mask here. We're going to pipe it into both of these merges. Right, we can actually just, we can also just add another router and then pipe them in like that. Let's also just change it to hide incoming connections for the renderer here as well, so that it's not overlapping too much. But yeah, now for the first one, let's make sure that this is set the luminance, and you can see the clouds on the bright area. So you can decide if you want the burn in. I kind of do. I think it looks kind of cool. Let's just view the media out, the final version. And then for the second one in the settings, we're going to choose luminance, but here we're going to apply mask inverted so that we are maintaining the clouds on the dark areas of the planet. Two issues. One you can clearly see, and that is that the clouds are now bright on the dark side of the planet, which they shouldn't be. And the other issue you can't see, but if I move the camera, you'll see it right away. You can see the backside as well. And then as you move the camera, you'll see all of the ugly clipping and stuff. So first of all, in the clouds, render here, change the C buffer to quicksort, and that will already be a huge difference of the clouds like that. And then where's the earth? There's the earth. In the earth, go into visibility and then cull the back faces. There we go. And then you might be thinking, but the clouds below are still very bright, and you would be right. So let's add a color corrector, and we can actually pipe the mask into the color corrector instead, like that. And then if we drag this down, let's just make sure the color corrector is affecting the luminance value, and then inverted. However, this merge here, the first merge is adding some clouds, but the second one is adding a lot of clouds. So what I actually think is that we don't need to mask the second version of the dark clouds. And I'll tell you why. If you now lower the gain, you can see the clouds on the dark side are being affected way more than the bright side. And that is because this first here has the burn-in. So, and because linear is working the way linear does, is that it's kind of burning through. So if we view the last node again, you can see we are adjusting the value here. If I disable this one, you can see we are losing a lot of brightness. So with that enabled, I can now lower this to 0.3, maybe even more if we want, 0.2. And you can see we have a pretty nice planet going on. There are things we could do to our atmosphere, increase the size of our volume fog to 1.08. And then we're going to increase the soft edge to 0.18, like that. And then the merge, we're going to set this to 0.25. And now you can even add more color correctors to this if you want. So if you want to go into DaVinci here, add a serial before the LUT, and then you can, tweak the colors even further. You can make it even more teal. You can make the highlights more orange. So you're getting a really, powerful blue-orange look here. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can do. This effect works best when the Earth itself is backlit. So maybe we can make a final adjustment to the lighting, and then we can call it a day. So we're going to move the light even more behind. Yeah, there we go. I think we're going to call it there. This is actually a result I'm quite pleased with. Let's just disable all of the resize nodes. Now your PC might lag a little bit when we do this, so I would recommend you only do it for the render, but you can already see this is pretty nice. Okay, so that's how we make Planet Earth in DaVinci Resolve. Hope you found it useful. Subscribe to me on Patreon if you want to support the channel. I just want to say a super thank you to those who are supporting me there already. You guys are the absolute best. You guys are amazing. If you like this video, leave a thumbs up, subscribe, share it with your friends. See you in the next one. Bye bye.